how to build a psy-trance bassline inside of Serum. So first off, what I need is some notes that are going to be playing the notes I need for the bassline. I'll go lower, let's say, do it from G, arrange these. Okay, so let's say I use the note G like that. I'm going to skip the note. It's going to play every 16th, but I'm going to skip the note that plays on top of the kick drum, which actually doesn't matter if I sidechain it afterwards. And if you don't know what sidechaining is, feel free to look at our tutorial on how to sidechain. Now I'm going to do this twice. That's going to be playing the 16th notes from the bassline. Maybe, yeah, I think that's going to be just enough. I'm going to be adding some velocity change on the first note right there. I could actually make it identical. Okay, now that that's done, I can actually start setting up my Serum. So this is going to be playing in a loop. First things first, we add some filter. So we're going to add a low pass filter, maybe a bit slopier, just like that. And I'm going to apply an envelope to that filter. Later on, I'll show you how you can substitute an envelope for an LFO that can be turned into an envelope. Now, let's first start with the conventional doing. So no sustain, short release. Let's see what that sounds like. I want it to be an octave lower. I'm going to change the octave right here on the oscillator. Now, first thing you can actually hear that's wrong is that the click of the bass line is not always the same. It really changes, really smudgy. So what I need to do is actually unrandomize this phase, which by default is quite random on Serum. So I'm going to unrandomize it and I'm going to find a nice phase where this bass sounds nice and clicky. That's nice, and that will basically be it, but we can substitute this envelope, which I'm going to bypass, with an LFO that can be turned into an envelope. And I can speed up this LFO, and this LFO can actually be synced opposite to the envelope. This can be synced to the rhythmical tempo of the song, to our BPM, so it means that this envelope is going to be lasting for exactly 1/16th note, which is exactly one note that we ever play right there. That means that we can have a much nicer understanding of what is the beginning value for our cutoff point and the ending value for a cutoff point at the end of the note, like this. That means that this entire envelope happens in the duration of one note, exactly. Now, when we have that set, we have a nice filter, we have a nice oscillator. What we could do is actually change the color of this oscillator. We're going to go inside to edit, and you can see that I can shift from working on the waveform to working on the FFT representation of this. We can actually see all the harmonics and their amplitudes and their phases right here on this diagram. I can even zoom out, so that's a sawtooth represented by being made by a lot of sine waves. So I can actually, let's say, mess with the sub without using any EQs, of course, because EQs cause phase linearity problems. So I'm going to actually just exclude the sub. Listen to what that sounds like. Now, that's just one of the things we could do. So we can mess with the amplitude of the first, let's say, 5, 6, up to 10 harmonics, which are actually going to give us a different color for our bass. Check this out. And it's not just the amplitudes that we can, mess with. It's also the phase of each separate harmonic. So each one of these is an oscillator that is a sine wave that together make up our sawtooth. Well, it used to be sawtooth. So we can mess with the amplitude and the phase of each one of those to get a different color. So let's do that a tiny bit. So you see, by just moving those first couple of harmonics, of course, you can go up to as much as you want, but those first 5, 6 to 10 are crucial for the color of your bass line. So by doing that, you're actually changing the waveform of that bass line. It's no longer a sawtooth. And that would also happen if you placed any kind of multiband. So by processing the bass line with any, multiband saturation or whatever, you're actually going to introduce, phase shifting just like this. So the sawtooth is no longer going to be a sawtooth actually, but that really doesn't matter. What matters is the sound. So what I'm saying is that without any of that, you can actually use the capabilities of Serum, because each one of the oscillators is an additive oscillator, meaning that it can control separate sine waves that are there to make up the ending result waveform and mess with their amplitudes and phases until you get something really interesting. So have fun making some nice clicky bass lines, and if you want to learn more about music production, check out our full music production certificate